Alright, I've talked to you a couple of times about comms as far as prepping. If you haven't seen the videos, check them out here. And then come back and we're going to talk about true GMRS radios. Alright guys, last time we talked about the bubble pack GMRS FRS radios. And I told you that they're not completely useless for a prepper. So we're going to talk a little more about these today and how you can actually get some good usage out of them. Alright, now obviously for short range communications, 2 of these, you're going to do pretty well. Reasonably within a mile, sometimes as little as a quarter of a mile, just depending on your surroundings and your terrain. Now where these really are going to shine for you is when you have a mobile or a base station set up on a true GMRS system. Now I told you last time to truly legally use these GMRS FRS radios, you had to have a GMRS license. Now let me tell you why you need to go ahead and get the GMRS license. If this is going to be the route that you plan to take using GMRS, which is actually a pretty good route, because remember, this license is $85, it's for 5 years, and it covers you and your entire extended family. Realize that GMRS really is a modern day version of the CB radio. However, it operates on FM, so it's much clearer signal, and it operates in a completely different area of the radio spectrum, so you really have more reliable short range communications than you do with traditional citizens band radio. Now if you've got a GMRS license, it opens you up to being able to use something like this commercial unit, which is actually a 50-watt unit that can be used either mobile or from a base station, and you can utilize this using your GMRS license. They're really used commercial radios that fall into the spectrum and are approved for use on GMRS. Now yes, the licensing is a stumbling block to some people. They don't want to pay the $85. The good way to look at it though is if you're not going to get into ham, which I do highly recommend, if you're not going to get into ham, GMRS is really simple. There's no test to take. You just pay the $85 and everyone in your family is covered for up to 5 years. Now the big advantages of having this license is when you're operating GMRS legally, there's several things that just aren't available to the general public using the bubble pack FRS GMRS radios. First off, when you're using real GMRS radios, there may even be a repeater in your area, so you may actually get the type of performance that ham radio operators get on their 2 meter and 70 centimeter rigs. Another thing that is a very big deal is antennas can be detachable on true GMRS radios. Now I know most people will see the up to 50 watts as probably the biggest advantage to GMRS, but when you're dealing with UHF, there's a saying in the radio world, height is might. And so being able to get that antenna up above the horizon is really going to do more than the 50 watts that you can get out of the radios. Now I'll tell you, from my personal experience, GMRS is probably one of the best things to use because it's reliable. You're using good heavy-duty equipment when you're using this commercial equipment, and you can get good solid communications. Now this is where these actually come in handy. With a good mobile or base unit, you can get the type of range that some of these advertise. Now I still don't think you're going to get 36 miles from a handheld even to a base station, but base to mobile you may be able to get 36 miles. Handheld to base station, you're easily going to get 10 miles given advantageous terrain. Alright guys, like I said before, I'm just giving you information, I'm not making recommendations. GMRS is a valid option for preppers, and I think it's something that every prepper should look into and see if they think that it'll work for them in their area. Guys, as always, thanks for watching the TheALOwens channel.